What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another beer show, to the TTNL Pregame show. I'm Ivan Vargas. We're almost out. It's almost over. It's almost done. This year from hell, that we were all expecting, big things from, just ended up going down the toilet very, very fast. Before we get started, guys, make sure, as always, you like, share, and subscribe to another. Jesus. I'm all over the place. I got Bo running around. Excuse me if I keep with the fumbles, but to the TTNL Network. Become a patron today at www.thetapeneverlies.com. One more game to go. Bears-Packers. It looks like the Packers will be having most of their starters out there. They're going to play this one out. I'm expecting – I don't know what I'm going to expect, to be honest with you. You got inactives. Let's go start with the inactives. We'll get that out of the way. Inactives: Travis Homer, Amir Speed, Tevin Jenkins, Elijah Hicks, Noah Sewell, and Zach Pickens. Anybody of true impact? I mean, Tevin, yeah, he's a starter on the O-line. I'll give you that. But anybody that we really, that was really making a difference, that was a difference maker out there? No. Zach Pickens, that complete miss of a draft pick. It's sad. You would expect there to be more of a development from a Zach Pickens from where they drafted him. You've seen some development from Dexter, but even with Dexter, he still needs more push. He still need more coaching. Maybe I don't know. There's something that is not right in the locker room there, and I don't know whether it be the coaching staff and how they coach their players and how they develop, or they lack of development with their players, or is it the lack of true leadership in the locker room? We could call guys captains, but are they really leaders? You could see a guy having a big day, a big year, or you could give a guy a big payday, but is he truly a leader? That's something that you need to have some fresh eyes take a look at, because whatever the Bears have seen, whatever Ryan Poles has seen, it's not. There's a lot of red flags that he seems to miss with some of the guys that he picks. We could talk about Claypool, for the trade. We could talk about Nate Davis this year in particular. He just the trust with Ryan Poles, and I know hopefully Big Steve pops in here. Oh, there he is, right there. There's Big Steve. Let me pull us both up. No, that's what. There we go. What up, Steve?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Oh, my audio. Yeah, I'll drop
You hear me?
out real quick. See, I think my audio is going right now.
The question is, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? How you guys doing? Dude, I just woke up. Your boy went out yesterday, and man, okay. Well, hey, guess what? It is Bears Sunday. Yay! Last game of the year. Yay! Get this shit over with. Yay! Just want to, I couldn't get everything Ivan was talking about, but I guess I'll just share my 2 cents of the day so far. It's just, does this team have any fight at all? Does it have any pride? And I think we saw a glimpse of that last week, a little bit out of the defense. My question is, are we going to see it out of the team? Are we going to see a lasting impression from Caleb and his coaching staff? Just put, I talked about it last week. Can you put it all out there and leave it all hanging and put your best effort you can put forward out of these 11 lousy games? Can you put your best effort forward against your our rival on the road, place that can we do that today? And that's all I want to see. I I don't care about anything. Part of me doesn't want to even see us freaking win this game because I don't want us to like fall back even further from getting the premier player, top 10 player that we need. But I would like to see, regardless of the outcome, which my prediction is probably not going to show favor towards them doing that. But I would like to see an effort. I would like to see not a dead ass performance offensively and just try to end this thing on some kind of good note. Leave us with some kind of taste of something. But after this game, get this over with. Hopefully everybody's pretty healthy. And that's the key. Get out of there healthy. Put your best foot forward. Don't come out of here like you're a dead ass. Like you just already got, which we kind of been suspecting out of some players. They already got the 1 foot out the door on vacation to Cabo. Already, Dubai, where the hell they want to go. People like to go to Dubai now.
Right.
Or are we going to get, a glimpse of something, and then let's go off of that. And yeah, John, I'm with you. And I was just going to say, I saw it in the comments, like it's time for the draft mob. It's time for breaking all this stuff down and get into the nitty gritty. I think that's about the most we can be excited for. It's a glimpse of the future, which you hope, all the reports, and we'll break all that stuff down. Ivan talked about popping in tomorrow, so be on the alert for that. That based on the comings of the information that we get tomorrow, how we're going to be moving forward. And let's see what they do. You know what I mean? All the reports are like they're driving this guy, polls is like this not favoring this guy before. And that's the worst thing I want to hear. I know this is a pregame show, but that's the worst shit I want to hear is that he's going to be that some reports that he's influenced by the stature of a coach. I think he should be scared of any stature, especially if they're getting a tier A guy. If it's Vrabel or Ben Johnson, yeah, you should be a little, because those guys are going to come in with a lot of, if it's the Flores thing, because it's the buddy system, that's not, I like Flores, but I don't want him to be under the pretense of that, hey, that's a buddy and I feel comfortable. That we're doing the same thing that we usually do. Right. We go with things that we're comfortable with, and you got to do something that you're not comfortable with. If Ben Johnson or Vrabel makes you uncomfortable for your job, go with, like, that's what we need. Probably go, let's go left instead of right. You know what I mean? Like, let's go right instead of left. Like, let's do something different. But I think we all wanted to see this thing get over with and everybody get out healthy and move forward with what the plan is and trying to get this team together. That's all.
I agree. No, Steve, you've taken the words from my mouth, man. It's like all I want is to see some type of execution, something positive, mainly from our quarterback. Do I feel confident that we're going to get that? No. And I was talking about right before you had popped on, I was about to mention the interview he had with Zoom, right? Jerry Azuma, where he was talking about lack of trust and the mistakes that have been, and there's no trust with amongst anybody. And I was just talking about Zach Pickens because he's on the inactive list. What impact has Zach Pickens been? I mean, he was a draft pick that was he before or after Dexter? I forget. Either way, they were supposed to be married together in the middle for a while. You know what I'm saying? This is a part of the red flags that I think that Ryan Poles seems to miss. Maybe he falls in love with the person. Maybe he falls in love with some type of that, like similar to Ryan Pace, who fell in love with, I don't know, Mitch Trubisky because he reminded him of himself. Maybe he looks too much into that. And he ignores some of the red flags that are clearly there with performance and talent.
Yeah, and like we talked about this before, his emotional attachment to people. And I think Hard Knocks, outside of showing how soft our season of Hard Knocks was, as far as not being the nitty gritty of what you know Hard Knocks to be from an organizational standpoint. Seemed like there was some control there and what they wanted the perception to be. But I think the other thing you got to see is and that's okay. I got a big heart too, but and that's a tough position to be in, is being the head guy, being a decision maker, and having to let people go and make these hard decisions when you're a general manager. It's not easy. I'm in a supervisor role, not to the point of, and I'm very sentimental and very understanding to my staff, but at some point you got to make hard decisions. In the NFL, you have to make those decisions all the time. That's just the nature of that business, where you have to make these gut-wrenching decisions. You don't have a lot of tenure. It's you have to like this. There's my guy Finley. Oh Lord, God, we keeping it easy this morning. Let's see what we have some dog and Stone Cold Killer and to you to be a GM. Yeah, you got to have some dog. You got to have. Sorry to have some sentimental. It just seems like it's too much from polls, as Ivan was saying. I just think you fall in love with personalities, and I think that's one thing you got to. It's all right to have that. I like that guy, and that goes a long way. Like, I know from being in a hiring position, you end up liking the personality, but then like, can you get the job done? And I think that's something I had to start doing in order to put a good security staff together at my school. I started realizing that, hey, personality check. Can you do the job? Check or X. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where you have to kind of separate those lines. Personality might not, he's kind of not an outgoing person, but boom, this guy has all kinds of security experience, knows what they're talking about. I need that person. And that's what I was kind of at. Like, as long as you don't give me a person who's an asshole, I can't, if you versus you getting the job done. Like, if you're an asshole and I can't have bad people on my staff. But if the personality ain't like 100% like, oh, but can they get the job done? As long as they're good, like decent person, I don't need that glaring personality that I need to get along with. I just need you to do your job.
Yeah, but and like I said, I was on the Facebook fan page. So who's that talking with? Oh my God, Jared Perry. But so we were talking, and it was like, I don't care. I don't want to be in another civil war. I don't care about what offense, defense. Find the guy who's going to straighten out the locker room, because there's clearly an issue amongst who's in charge and whose role is what. And it doesn't seem like there are a lot of captains, no leaders, right? That's kind of where I see it. Maybe there's a guy in there that can step up with a new coach and be that guy. But right now, whether it be Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel, as long as they could correct what's going on in the locker room, and you don't have these guys walking off the field in the middle of plays, you don't have guys, I guess not quitting, but just like making business decisions. So basically quitting. You know what I'm saying? When you're laying tackles and allowing guys to just walk into the end zone, shit like that. That's kind of what I want to be correct. Whether he's offense or defense, that's not a concern to me at this point. I just want it to be the guy that can lead the locker room and also get the best out of the team, regardless of its offense or defense. You got to get the best out of the 53 guys that are on the field.
Yeah, and I think that's important, and we'll go more into that. Like tomorrow, I'm gonna have it's some obvious pros and cons, to every coach you're looking at, and I think the top two, in my eyes, are Mike Vrabel and Ben Johnson, and I think you got to figure out the way to get one of those two. Both of them are two different people. I think you got your your fears and your positives out of both. And I was thinking about this. We'll touch on that tomorrow on the Bear Down. A little more focus. Once we decisions hopefully are made of how they're moving forward in the front office. And then at that point, because it could be a whole different conversation tomorrow. It could be, okay, we got polls. Why did they do that? Kind of pointing out why we're disgusted or not happy with that, and then you're moving forward. Mm-hmm. And it's just as simple as it is. And then you're going to have your conspiracy theories about what he wants and what he might drive away, and things of that nature. And then you move forward to who you want. And we'll see if they can screw that up or not. Will they screw it up or not? And then I think you looking at the other shocker would be that, and I think it would be shocking news, even though people kind of putting it out there, if he gets fired and they actually pull a move of that magnitude, which I just don't see the Bears doing unless Warren really puts his foot down, and that lets you know, okay, maybe it is a little different. Mm-hmm. From that standpoint. And then we're talking about a whole lot of scenarios now. Who's going to be the general manager? So the conversation can go a couple of different ways, but I think at the end of the day, we're going to be focusing on, hey, who's that coach, and not to flux it up, man. I mean, we just find a way to do it. And like the two top dudes are the two top dudes, unless something else changes with surprise firings, and obviously going to be looking for that tomorrow. And it's those, not the firings. I think it's the mutual departures. When you get a good coach that's on the market, it's like, hey, we're mutually decided, to go separate ways. This is not working. It's one of those scenarios you could find, but and I just don't. The Flores things we'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll leave a little meat on the bone for you guys tomorrow. Why Flores scares me, but at the same time, why he excites me, and same thing for Ben Johnson and Mike Vrabel.
And Shayne just sent me a text message right now. Jay Glazer on Fox said that multiple teams are going to try to trade for Kevin O'Connell this coming season. I guess he's out of contract next year. And there's been no talk of an extension. So I expect a big ass extension for Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah. I think that's just going to move. It's going to move the needle. Yeah, a lot of teams are going to try to look into Kevin O'Connell, but I think the needle, Minnesota would be very foolish not to move that needle towards. I mean, everything you don't. That's why you get. That's what you hope for if you get a Ben Johnson. You hope for a guy at that level. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for the Matt LaFleurs. You're looking for Kevin O'Connell, and I think Kevin O'Connell is probably the more recent example of the type of tier coach, if you're going to go offensive side of the ball, that you get. Everything that he's done in Minnesota to get everything going, and he. I don't, and that's the weird thing. And I will talk about that tomorrow. Like, what makes him a leader? He's got, because you get these offensive coordinators and they're not very a rah guy looking guys. They're like they look like Ben Johnson. These guys, Ben Johnson or Kevin O'Connell, they're looking like these, offensive coordinator, quarterbacks, nerdy looking dudes, you just don't envision them maybe being that hard-nosed guy. But when you look at the defensive side, you see Mike Vrabel and the intensity, the leadership, you see the Brian Flores, the tough demeanor, and you see that, and you see where we may need that. But then you also see the opposite side where you need a guy who can, if he knows how to run his offense. And that's why I always kind of not caution. I tell people to stay the hell away from the thoughts of Nagy when it comes to Ben Johnson. I think he's more on the side of LaFleur and O'Connell, even though he has to prove that, because he actually ran his offense. He actually has been in charge of his own offense. It wasn't, I got 6 games calling in that season that, and then the last one was a fucking shit fire in the playoffs. But, how much is Andy Reid involved in that as well? And even in those 6 games. So you're like, I just don't. That I didn't trust. When obviously we were all excited when Nagy came, like, hey, maybe he'll bring some of that, Andy Reid stuff over. And no, so I just caution everybody to stay away from that. But that Kevin O'Connell is the guy like you want, like the way he's taken Sam Darnold and turned this. I mean, where the fact that now Sam Darnold's looking at an extension and they're talking about trading JJ McCarthy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Which I wouldn't rush to that decision. I would. The kid is coming off IR, would keep him around because you always need and maybe drive up his price of like. I don't think the price is going to be there for getting a good return off a person who's coming off an injury. Maybe I would keep him around. I don't know, but Kevin O'Connell's not going anywhere. Minnesota would be absolutely foolish because everything that they are right now is because of that head coach.
I agree. And just the simple fact that you got the best out of Sam Darnold, at this point in his career, like he looks phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
He looks phenomenal. Like a different fucking play. He looks like the first round draft pick that he should have been. You know what I mean? Like, so coaching obviously matters in that marriage with the quarterback, or whether it's McCarthy or whether it's Darnold, that is going to matter. I think McCarthy would have had a good season under Kevin O'Connell as well, just for the, just watching how Sam Darnold did, and he's a rookie. Granted, there might be a little bit of a handicap there for first season, but I would imagine that Kevin O'Connell would have coached up McCarthy well enough to where he would have had a pretty solid season.
Yeah.
Let me go take care of Bo real quick. He wants some juice right now. Go ahead.
Okay. And I was just going to say with Kevin O'Connell, and this is my, y'all know that I favor Ben Johnson in this thing so far. Could change. I'm very close to Vrabel. It's not close to him, but I'm very close to like wanting him to be our coach. And if we went Vrabel, I would not be any less like excited. I'll be very excited if we got Vrabel. So I'm very stuck on both of those guys. And then Ben Johnson's just my leader in the pack for what I want. I'm not, 100% right, but I just looking at, I know everybody looks at it different ways. I look at it from just, if I was on that team, if I wanted it, like, that's the way I was looking at it. Like, obviously they're going to find things out about these coaches more so than anything, but I just look at it like, hey, I want a guy to come in, develop something around Caleb and get the most out of him for years to come. And I'm hoping that the guy can, also rally the team. And I just see those examples of a LaFleur and a Kevin O'Connell. And I'm just like, I think we're more on the side of Ben Johnson being that guy than Nagy. That's all I'm saying. Because you just got to look at the history of where Nagy came from. Ben Johnson has absolutely had control of that offense. And I understand Kevin O'Connell came in there. He inherited, where he came from, St. Louis, had good players. He came in, Minnesota obviously, got, Jefferson, they got Addison. They built that lineup. But that's up to your general manager. Because that's, at the end of the day, whatever coach you get, Vrabel, Ben Johnson, you have to have the front office. It doesn't matter who you bring in here. Your all front office has to build the team up. So I don't get, I don't understand people are they bringing that person with them, and every coach is going to need one. Like you say, Ben Johnson. I'm just using this argument of Ben Johnson has O-line, he has this, and that's why we do have the receivers, we do have the quarterback. And yes, you need to build an offensive line, and you have to get some more complementary backs back in the backfield. We need more of a variety of player back there, and add something to the tight end position. We know that's up to you, because if Variable comes in here, it's going to be the same thing that he needs, regardless of what offensive coordinator he brings in. They're going to need a fucking O-line. They're going to have to revamp that, and they're going to have to bring in an O-line coach who's going to be able to develop and fix some freaking guys.
Steve, not only O-line first and foremost, but I would imagine new running backs.
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm
running
saying?
backs.
New running
Yeah,
backs. Maybe a
you need two
receivers.
new running backs in that backfield. I don't know how we get them, draft and free agent, probably free agent, and then another draft. But depending if we can, obviously we got to, you could catch those running backs in the middle or late rounds. You could get to Jim. That's
Right.
definitely 100%. You could do that. But yeah, we got to revamp the backfield because you can't go into next year thinking Swift is the primary guy. You got to get somebody
Roshan or
complimentary to him. 100%.
Roshan either. I mean, Roshan, like I said, he only knows one way to run, and if he's going to have concussion issues or always be hurt because of how he runs,
And
I mean, we got to find other backs.
And that's when you got to. We talk about taking the sentimental shit out of it. You know what I mean? I know Poles really, really loved that pick with Roshan. I'm sitting there, regardless if I love that pick, I love that player. I see that, okay, now through my evaluations, and like I refer it, I use the same adage of me being a supervisor. I'll hire somebody. I really like that hire. I like the potential of this person, and they get to work and they're not performing up to the task. You start evaluating, like, okay, maybe I see all kinds of flaws. And I'm just saying the flaws with Roshan is like, yeah, he can run you over. He can break a couple, but he's not that elusive guy. Like he doesn't. He's just I'm gonna drop my head and run you over type of dude. And obviously that does not help him because he's had a couple concussions. So that style is not going to have longevity. And even if he didn't have the concussions, I didn't like that style because he wasn't one cut, make a guy miss type of thing. You got to have a little bit of looseness. It can't be all bang and knock people over. On top of it, now you got concussions issues. So I don't love that pick. I got to be able to say, hey, Roshan, I loved him when we got him. I see the flaws. We have to get something else. I can't go into next year thinking that his brain is going to mend itself and that his style is his style. He was a backup at Texas behind Brazion. Like, I understand he could have went anywhere, but it's just, like we got to take the stupid out of there. We got to take that sentimental shit out of there and be hard nosed and we got to upgrade that backfield, dude.
And I think part of it is the identity of the front office and ownership, right? They want to. I understand the idea of building people up and not breaking them down. Like you said, you don't want a complete piece of shit personality inside that building trying to coach your team, but there is a line. There's a difference between being that fucking garbage piece of shit and being a coach who demands excellence from your team. You know what I'm saying? Like we talk about Mike Tomlin all the time as being a great. Do you think Mike Tomlin takes any shit? Do you think you could see him in clips. Mike Tomlin don't take no shit. So it's like, you find a guy who, first of all, commands respect, can build up guys, and it's hard. It's a very hard ask, and it's a hard to find. But I think that the identity that the owners want is somebody who's able to be likable, be likable in front of the mic, be likable in the locker room, just be likable all around. And that's not how you do things sometimes. Like to me, that's not going to get you to win. That doesn't equal wins necessarily.
Yeah, I don't need a coach to be buddy and like this. Is like, we got to cut that shit out, man. We're not, we need somebody who's going to come in here and ride this ship, hold people accountable. It's only concerned with winning, not concerned with, what I mean? And that's what happened. You need that type of person. We had who's Arizona's coach? I'm drawing a blank that we had where the Kangos, Bruce Arians.
Bruce Arians.
Yeah. We dropped the ball of Bruce Arians because he was like, I'm here to coach football. I'm not here to do all this other stuff. Like the media training interview, like they wanted to put him through or whatever. Like, he's like, I'm here to coach football. I know I can do that. I can develop quarterbacks. I can run an offensive system. I'm going to hold people accountable. Like that's what you need. That's what you and everybody, and it's wearing me the hell out every time I go out somewhere people like, what's wrong with the Bears? And of course they want me, to give, because I played for them and I had this insight and everything. And I'm only thinking, and I've been like this kind of pointed towards, yes, it's a lot of stuff, but I'm saying we just get the coaching. I mean, just look at the last 4 coaching hires. They didn't come from a tier A. When you look at when it was time, and I've said this again, when it's time to hire, you got to go to your tier A group. And for me, we not just go to a tier A group. We need to get the top 2 people out of that tier A group. One of the 2. We can't let Ben Johnson or Variable escape. You got to get you got to nail one of those down, whatever your preference is. We got to get one of those guys because we always get the tier C. Now, I saw a report that they're talking about the Miami Dolphins fucking D coordinator. I'm like, I seen some weird shit. I'm like, who the fuck is this? Like no
familiarity, like that buddy shit. Because apparently, I think Ryan Poles has some type of relationship with was it Anthony Weaver? Is that his name? Regardless, it's the same type of feeling you have or that we have with bringing in a Brian Flores. You know what I'm saying, Steve? Like, is that like too close? Is he just trying to? Oh, here's my friend, so I could try to save my ass.
Yeah, and this is when I know Kevin Warren talked about, and I know people like, hey, Kevin Warren, but this is when you might need a Kevin Warren to step in. This is when you need him to come in and be a part of this process. And like, hey, your general manager, maybe if he's going to keep Poles around here, you need somebody like that on the outside to be like, listen, no, that's not it. We're not doing Flores. I was in the meeting. I didn't like his answers to what happened with Tua. I know he's a good D coordinator. He might be exactly what this team needs as far as a hard-nosed guy, no nonsense. But I'm not bringing him in if the answers ain't clear what his plan is with Caleb Williams. And outgoing personality, competitor, maybe he, I think he is a little bit different when it comes to his personality as far as Tua. Tua's like a church guy, and but Caleb Williams is little free spirit. He obviously but ultra competitor. We know that with all the talent in the world. So maybe there would be a different vibe. But like, what's your game plan, Flores? I don't want the sentimental beat Boston College. That's out there. That's cool to give you a little insight of who he is, but it shouldn't be the prerequisite of you being able to hire a guy. It absolutely should not be. Personal ties is cool, but that's the thing that's hunted us. We like the likable stuff and the good old boy system of however you wanted to make it. Like, hey, I just know this guy. It's like me knowing a guy. Instead of hiring a guy who's right, I go get my buddy. You know what I mean? And we have to do the total opposite of that. We have to do it off of who's the best person for the job. And that's just primarily it. And, I don't, like Zoom says, I don't trust that will be done. I just don't. I have no trust in that whole situation.
I think we're all on the same page there. It's I told you right after they fired, it's like I'm scared. Like they did what they should have done at the beginning of the season. Another Bears thing to do. But then on top of that, it's like, where do you go now? Are you gonna again with the trust? Do I trust them? Hell no. I'm terrified. I'm terrified that they're going to go get a random guy because he's close to fucking Ryan Poles and he ends up not being the guy because it's the same message. You know what I'm saying? Like there needs to be a different message sent throughout this organization. And that's the thing. It can't be, I know Flores and he's my buddy.
Yeah.
He has to be the right fucking guy.
Yeah. I want the coach to come in with their personality, not, I might not know where this dude's going with the team once it's man, I just so opposite. Go so opposite of what you've been doing, man. You gotta it's about the Bears, it's not about you. It's not about it's about the fans, it's about the success of the team. It's not about your personal feelings. And that goes to everybody in the decision-making rooms, like who makes these decisions. I know y'all got some chatter about Jim Harbaugh. I'll just pull, I believe Jim Harbaugh, just real quick. I think, Jim Harbaugh is a guy who like went after his dream job of going to Michigan. I mean that. So Jim Trotter reported that, as Shayne said. So I think the Bears was. I mean, that's where he played. So it was very conceivable that was where he wanted to go. I think we get the report that he was interested, and sometimes we get so like, no, he didn't want to. Yeah, the dude probably wanted to go here. And that's how bad we are that we never even looked at it. Or we let our personal, and this is, if this is reported right, that Kevin Warren didn't have the best relationship with Jim Harbaugh. And that's when we get in a way. That's when you got to find these awkward, some of the most successful organizations don't have the harm. They don't all like each other, guys. It's great if you do, but it's also like, hey, man, sometimes you got to find this common mean to put our differences to the side. And that sometimes is the best thing that happens for you. You know what I mean? And so it is water under the bridge. He is where he's at. He's got another organization going to that goddamn playoffs. But let's just go as to what we talk about. We got to do something. Like, the obvious shit sometimes is right in front of your face, and we just fuck it up. Like, Jim Harbaugh's going, let's let that go. I think he did want to probably come here. We fudged it up. Let's not fudge this one up. Let's make sure we interview everybody you got to interview, but take your bull crap out of there. But I'm still under the impression I don't think it's going to happen. I think I would like to move on for polls, just because I wouldn't want none of that in there. I would want a fresh perspective with somebody with a different mindset, and it's going to be because they would come in, not only they're going to come in with that mindset. It's just all the other stuff polls is kind of dismissed on. But like I said, it's not going to be the end of the world. It could be. I feel like it is. I think any false move right now, I think we're such in a fragile state. Anything is just not in line with where we, that I think is going to the same thing. We don't want to fire the guy. I just think if we do extreme actions, I think calls us for extreme changes. If you just say, polls you out of here, that's such an extreme move, and like to drop your nuts type of move, but it's exactly what we need.
I mean, it's true. Like, every mistake that he's made has been more and more glaring this year. It's been like, boom, out of nowhere. Here's all these red flags that were there that none of us saw, because we were under the impression that things were going well, that things were going to progress, that you were able to do some certain things correctly. And no, it never went that way whatsoever. It just wasn't that.
And everybody talks about we're in the middle of his rebuild. Well, when you start seeing the glaring, as Ivan said, you start seeing the red flags right in front of your face, and they're glaring in your face. That means the rebuild is not going as effectively as you think it was. It started off great, like we're building this thing up, but then the extreme red flags let you know that his rebuild, his way of going about it, is not working. Regardless of what he's the one. If he was handed a group of a handful of coaches and he decided Eberflus over Dan Quinn, you're wrong. That's the first one, first and foremost. Regardless of if you handed me 4 coaches and I had those 2, I'm going with Dan Quinn. I ain't even have to be. I'm looking at Dan Quinn for who Dan Quinn was, and he's been a former head coach and sat there in Cowboys for years. They just sat there, and it was getting offers, and would have kept, and kept staying with the Cowboys until he really was ready to go back to work. And he did some good things in Jacksonville, really good things. Was he in Jacksonville?
No, he was in Atlanta.
Dan Quinn was in Atlanta. My bad. I knew he was somewhere. Dan Quinn got to the Super Bowl, even though they had that historic meltdown, but that's just Tom Brady doing Brady things. But yeah, I'm just like, he started there, and then you're seeing where the fucking thing has scorched earth. And when it's showing that whatever you're building is getting ready to tumble already, you need somebody to come in and reestablish and before the whole rebound, or you're going to be starting from the ground up again. Because his structure is weak at this point. At this point, it was going up, and then we get to a point like the structure is a little weak. I think and anybody's in the architecture, I mean, if you ever run into that problem, you better fucking fix it. You're going to keep going with the guy who's fucked up the build? Yeah, no, you got to get somebody else to come in there and reestablish the whatever the fuck he's, fix whatever he got and then reestablish, or you're going to crumble the fucking thing all the way to the ground, and it's going to set you back, and it's going to set your quarterback back, and it's going to be real fucked up. So that's the way I looked at it. But like I said, I don't think it's happening. Only thing you could pray if Poles does get spared, that he comes in here with a coming to life type of awakening call, like, hey, I need to fucking change the way I do things. But I don't know. A lot of people are prideful. They stuck in their ways, and they're going to do it the way they wanted to do it. And I don't know. But maybe I don't know. Fuck.
And you know what? I think a lot of people, and there is a fight because I would imagine that some people are like, hey, man, Ryan, do it your way, right? Like getting advice from people outside. Make sure you do it your way. Don't have anybody. But there needs to be an ability to adjust and adapt, especially after a mistake. You know what I mean? And I don't know if he's really truly been able to overcome some of these mistakes, especially the lack of production on the offensive line, the lack of talent on the offensive line. That one's the biggest one of all, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's the glaring one. And I think people don't understand, some of the people who are for Poles, they don't understand, like, dude, that's just, especially when you are from an O-line, it's been a really disastrous. I mean, you look at Roquan, I've been watching that, and I know we're getting ready to wrap up and get ready for game time. Mm-hmm. But when you look at Roquan Smith, and I've been watching the Hard Knocks in season, and just looking at Roquan, just like, I know they had to make a decision, but like, hey, where were we off? How much money were we off? I heard it wasn't too far from what we gave Tremaine Edmonds. And okay, you moved on for Roquan. I always thought it should have been a first round. Okay, no, we get a second round for the Baltimore Ravens. They immediately signed him to a long-term deal. He's been an All-Pro. Okay, now we got the Baltimore pick, second round pick, and we have our pick. We turn around and take our pick, not the Baltimore pick, but we take our pick, which was like a top. What was it? Were we at the top of the second round that year because we were picking number one? Right? Yeah. I think that was the case. Yeah. And we take our number one pick, which was the 33rd pick, and we spin it for Chase Claypools. Let's not forget that. Like, we take the Roquan, we got 2 second-round picks. Okay, cool. We about to go draft something, right? I'm hoping, maybe an offensive lineman. But no, we spin that around, go get Chase Claypools. So Pittsburgh gets our fucking second round pick, which was practically a first round pick. And that's a disaster. And then you look at the Nate Davis. That was a disaster. The fact that you draft, not just because you draft Braxton Jones, but you ride the wave with him for 3 years at left tackle, that's a disaster. What you did to this O-line and not going to get dressed in the center when there were free agent centers out there. And you get Coleman Selton, that's a disaster. The Ryan Bates, getting injured guys who are not healthy, that's a disaster. So it's keeping on to your O-line coach, Morgan. That's a disaster. So all kinds of disasters around you. I just point them out really quick. That's why you move on, and that's why this thing is. Those are the things why we suck this year.
Perfectly said, Steve. I think that's a wrap for us. Go ahead, try to enjoy the game. To be honest, if it gets close, if it's a close game, I might just randomly pop up after halftime.
Well, let me know. Let me know what the deal is. I'll be sitting in here tight.
All right, guys. That's gonna wrap things up for us here on the TTNL pregame show. Enjoy the game. Let's hope they're competitive and it's not an ugly ass blowout to end the season.
All right.